just open the floor. Has anybody got? Oh, good. We got two. We got two. All right. Do you probably don't need a mic, eh? Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is that New Zealand, the whole structure of this economy is built on small to medium enterprise. 75% of New Zealanders are employed in small to medium enterprises, and they are on average 5 employees. Is this an option for another party to stand up something that could support those sorts of organisations to operate their infrastructure in the cloud? And what's the smallest tenancy you can support? Could I stand up a virtual PC within this, for example?
Short answer is yes. There's no minimum or maximum, and I mean we're standing up a tenancy right now for our sandbox environments for internal use, and they're not large. We actually talked about this yesterday, and I talked to someone who has a sort of an ecosystem of partners who are all startups, and they all have exactly the same issue. And I mean, I started a company in the mid-90s, and the first thing we had to do was buy a Dell server, and we could only do it because I had a large credit card limit. Small companies just don't have the funds, so yes. Yeah.
The short answer is yes, and I think there's an opportunity to think about those small and medium companies. Is the opportunity for partners and service providers and local to do that. When you think about those to go to a large hyperscaler, it sounds like scary because it's intimidating. Oh, I'm going to contract with this guy. I don't know who they are. Like, I don't even know how to read that contract. And that's where we work with partners that know the market. Because, of course, I'm in the one-size-fits-all t-shirt business, but he's in the New Zealand t-shirt size business. And that's important.
Yeah. Just one more thing as well. So yes, it is completely elastic. Start as small as you need, grow as much as you need. The other thing is the rich set of services. So if you just bought a computer or you just bought compute, what do you, as a small business with 5 employees, what do you do on top of it? So having a rich set of services to do autonomous capabilities, to build up, a low-code application development, out-of-box analytics, all of those things are just increasing and enhancing productivity of this organization immediately. Because it's not a subset of services, not just compute, network, storage, it's every cloud service that we have in the Oracle Cloud globally, available here through Team Cloud.
Yeah, it goes back to your the stuff that is left behind, and bang in the middle of that group for me is legacy stuff.
Sorry, I didn't want to hear you in the back. Sorry.
Your question.
I know Harry from a former life. Yes. Harry works. If you just
repeat the question, so
yeah, just also say who you work for as well.
Can you turn the mic
Oh
on?
yeah, okay. I'm Harry Perkins. I suppose I'm technical still. I work for DXE Technology in the Oracle space, and I've been with Oracle for a long time. But my question was about the stuff you can't move to the cloud, rather than the stuff that you can, and in the middle of that is legacy stuff, stuff that's recently out of support and so forth. So is there any consideration or possibilities there?
So it depends a lot on what you say out of support. If you're talking about hardware, yeah, there's always a way to move that. And we work with different customers that have like all Unix systems and you name it. There's a big mainframe migration happening right now in a customer, for instance. I think the fundamental question is, like, if you're running a database that's not up to date, that's a problem. Because, for instance, as we increase basically versions and we have supported versions, as an example, and this is a real example, there was a customer that didn't want to move to the latest version of the database for, I don't know, whatever reason, doesn't matter. And one of the latest updates, it was that we have found a pattern for data exfiltration, which is the last thing that you want in a database. So it's like eat your veggies. So you do, there's things that you have to do, okay? Can you move all stuff into this deployment? Yes. I think there's things that you cannot get away with, which is, hey, can I run unsupported things? Sure, but the level of risk of that is too high. And also, we're not going to offer you a service that, oh, it's unsupported, so let me offer that to you in a cloud service. It doesn't really work. So it's too much of a risk that you may be taking. And I think believe me, I have plenty of discussions, and I think the consideration is, okay, what is the level of risk that you're willing to absorb, which is not trivial. So,
if I may just add to that, so there's a couple of things. You know, if cloud's been around close to 20 years, if you ask any of the analysts what percentage of workloads are on the cloud today, 25, 30%. After 20 years, 70% still hasn't moved. Now you compare that to other technologies, smartphone, internet, etc. Way above in terms of adoption rate. So you go like, hang on a minute, everybody knows why cloud's beneficial. You know, rapid provisioning, evergreen infrastructure, start small, scale high. If everybody knows that, why is it that only 25 to 30% of workloads are on the cloud today? And it's because, one answer, the cloud and providers give you an environment that's very different to what you have on premises. The systems that can't move, to Christian's point, are the ones that, hey, they need dedicated hardware. Why? Because it's a core system. I don't need anybody else on there. Well, physical isolation solves that problem, right? I can't move it because, it's tied, to my networking ecosystem that I need to hear. The data gravity problem, well, we solve that with our low latency. So we've taken away some of the inhibitors that just kept 70% on premises in the first place. But then, off that 70% that's on premises, even if they had the perfect environment, there's things that Christian talked about. There'll be version compatibility and things like that. And again, I then go back to our pedigree as an enterprise vendor. A lot of this software is based on Oracle technology in that sense, right? And so our ability to do live data replications and to do, clones and replicate, all of those sort of smarts in terms of bringing you up to the current level, because you want to be current, right? Also helps. So now you've got an environment that's equivalent, you've got a migration path that's similar. Then the last thing we do is, with the set of autonomous services we offer, is we're always on. So we call it the last upgrade you'll make. Because once you're in the cloud and you're running autonomous services, the patching and the upgrades and the cloning and the backups, etc., you're current. So it's a three-step sort of reason as to why we can take those workloads, I call them handcuffed, that have been handcuffed to on-premises. 70% have been handcuffed to on-premises. We can remove those shackles.
Awesome. Have we got any more questions? The back.
There's a couple of things I don't think we've covered. So for Oracle users, you can bring your own license to Team Cloud. Oh, yeah. And then over time, if you want to move to autonomous Oracle database, you can, or you can just carry on running in the IaaS. The other one, which has obviously been quite topical recently, is VMware. And we have the same pricing, etc. in Team Cloud as Oracle will have around VMware. And if you've got VMware licenses about to expire and you've been given a new quote by Broadcom, which has made you stagger around thinking, I've got to find another 200 or 300% to pay this, then we have we've inherited the VMware deal from Oracle, which means we can give you a price which is almost comparable to what you're paying now.
If I could just add on that VMware, that's an example of a workload that's been handcuffed as well, right? Because if you look at how VMware offerings happens in the other hyperscale cloud providers, it's a one-way migration. You lose control, you change your standard operating procedures, you have to pass your passwords and root credentials onto the cloud provider. It's not a smooth migration. It's a barrier. If you have to do all of those things in your organization, you go, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work. Not only have we inherited the commercials from the VMware acquisition, but we've also made it really easy to live migrate. So one of the things with the networking stack is we're virtualized at layer 2 of the networking stack. So we look like an extension of your data center. So you effectively create a dedicated connection into Team Cloud, and you use the same set of VMware software that you have on premises today. Don't change versions, don't change passwords, don't change operating, and you live migrate So we stand up a OCVS cluster for you. Takes about 2.5 hours. It's a triple redundant cluster. And you live migrate your VMs. And you're done. You're done. Handcuffs removed. Right?
And the next step after that is to move to native VMs or native containers. So after you are in a cloud deployment, doing that is a lot easier. So customers I see doing that, they're doing like 2 steps. So move quickly, move easily, and then long term think about your strategy and your platform.
Yeah, and that can cover non-Oracle workloads, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's the richness of services I talked about earlier. It's not just computer network. When you have things like that on top of it, makes it easy to remove the handcuffs. We got one more question.
Ian, I think you mentioned, as part of what you were saying, you used the word SaaS, and I think you meant the SAS rather than the SaaS. Is that correct?
SaaS, software as a service.
You didn't mean SaaS, the software company?
No.
So across the New Zealand landscape, SaaS are well entrenched. They might be retreating, but there's some large organisations that still run SaaS, and they run it in the cloud in some instances. Could you stand up a SaaS instance inside your Oracle cloud? Because I think there's an opportunity if you could.
If all they need is compute, memory and storage, yes.
I don't see why not.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely would talk to them, but that's exactly what we're aiming at, those sorts of non-Oracle. Yeah, we're looking at those. We are looking at those non-Oracle workloads as well, and I think globally, I think in Oracle Cloud, 60% of the workloads in Oracle regions are non-Oracle. Yeah.
It's even higher.
Or higher. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have probably time for one more question before we break. Oh, yes. Here you are.
Another familiar face.
Yeah, so Sabi currently with Cognizant. Do we have any reference customers near region, like in Australia, for example, that we can showcase as like Oracle Alloy doing well and all that in closer to this region?
Yep.
Sorry, did you say you're from Cognizant?
Yes.
You're also one of our big customers globally, so thank you. Okay, so one of the things that we have to be clear that we articulate over and over again, because it seems too good to be true, is that OCI globally, public cloud region, is identical to what we do in dedicated regions, and it's identical to what we've done in Team Alloy. So asking for an Alloy reference would be great. We can find, there are other alloys, but Alloy's only been around for 2 years. But OCI has been around for 5-6 years. And so the market momentum you have there, because it's service parity, it's SLA parity, it's certification parity. If we release a new service tomorrow in Oracle's public cloud, you'll have it in Team Cloud, right? And there are thousands of OCI customers. I'd say for those different workloads that I had there, monolith, cloud native, we can get down to very explicit by country, by industry, by type of workload, by size of organization, thousands of customers.
I will follow up with one more, saying that let's say you have this Alloy right now, and what does, for example, someone says, oh, we can have Outpost. How am I going to counter this, maybe it's not like for like, but it's promoted as like for like. So what would be our counter argument to that? Or
So
didn't you work for a blue company before?
I used to work. Yeah, I know the blue and the orange things. So I think the common perspective that people use is because can be small. They try to actually map out that, and the reality is all the edge solutions like Outpost or even local zones or Stack or whatever is the edge thing of the day, they're incomplete solutions, number one, okay? So they do not offer all the cloud services. Good, that's number one. Number two, all those solutions require for you to be connected to let's say I'm going to call it like the main control plane of that cloud provider, okay? So you're connected to a commercial region that's controlled by that globally, okay? In the case here, you're using a region that's actually controlled by them that has nothing to do with commercial, nothing to do, that give you, let's say, an identity boundary that is controlled here, that we don't have access, that gives you a level of sovereignty and isolation that basically doesn't exist anywhere else. So I think those are common patterns that we see. Now, to your question on where else do we have this, we are very thoughtful about where we put basically this type of deployments because we don't want to atomize the market with offerings, of course. But we do have live regions in Italy, Japan, New Zealand now. We have publicly, and I have more, but I cannot comment. But the ones that we have publicly announced too is in Saudi. So we have one in Saudi, we have a partner in Saudi, and we have a partner in UAE as well. So those are public references there in the Oracle site. Those 5, I can talk about it. I have more, but
That's good enough. Thank you.
is it?
They published it.
Oh, right.
We haven't.
Yeah, we haven't. So there's more. I'm really busy. Let me put it in those terms. I'm really busy.
He travels a bit. He travels a bit.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your questions.